Harry Kane just got called overrated by Carlo Ancelotti in front of the entire England coaching staff, and nobody saw this coming. It wasn't just a tactical correction. It wasn't a private conversation behind closed doors. It wasn't the media twisting words out of context. This is serious. Nothing like this has ever happened to England's captain days after a World Cup opener. And there's a detail the FA still hasn't confirmed publicly. Sources close to the training camp say one senior player walked out and called his wife, saying the dressing room had fundamentally shifted overnight. And the worst hasn't even come to light yet. Over the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly what happened in that training session, why Thomas Tuchel is now caught in an impossible position, and why this could reshape England's entire tournament. When something like this explodes inside a World Cup squad just 72 hours after a shaky 1-1 draw with Ghana, it's not just any problem anymore. This isn't a headline that fades. This is a fracture in the spine of the team. The moment when the dressing room stops believing the same thing. The captain, who has carried England's hopes for over a decade, is now facing questions about whether age and form have finally caught up with him. And the behind the scenes of this is worse than it looks, because it's not really about one missed chance. It's about power, about generational shift, and about what happens when a manager decides that legacy doesn't protect you anymore. Here's what actually happened. England came off a frustrating draw against Ghana in the opening fixture. The performance was decent, but clinical finishing let them down. They had their chances and didn't take them. That's where Kane comes in. In the 67th minute, he was through on goal. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. This is the moment where Kane's 79 international goals should do what they've always done. But the shot was weak. It went wide. The kind of miss that haunts you in a World Cup, especially when your nation needed you to be clinical. 2 days later, the squad is back at training. Video analysis. They're reviewing the Ghana match, breaking down what went wrong. The footage gets to Kane's miss. And that's when it happened. According to sources close to the training camp, Carlo Ancelotti, this calm, experienced manager who has won titles across Europe, turns away from the screen. There's a moment where everyone is watching the replay, and Ancelotti shakes his head. What came next? Nobody expected. He reportedly said something to the effect that Kane is overrated. Not that the finish was poor, not that he needs to sharpen up. That he's overrated. That the gap between his reputation and what he's actually delivering has become too wide to ignore. The moment that word, or something close to it, left Ancelotti's mouth, the entire room changed. According to players present, there was absolute silence. The kind of silence where you can feel the dressing room's temperature drop. Nobody corrected him. The video analyst paused. Someone's phone buzzed. And in that instant, something shifted. The captain wasn't untouchable anymore. This is serious. But to understand why this is so dangerous right now, you need to know what's been building behind the scenes for months. Harry Kane is 32 years old. He's played 143 matches for England. He's the all-time leading goal scorer with 79 goals. He captained England to the Euro 2020 final. He's been the spine of this team for more than a decade. But this season, his form has been respectable, not volcanic. It's not bad. It's just different. And in a squad where Jude Bellingham is 21 and already a midfield fixture, where Ollie Watkins just had the best season of his career with 27 goals at club level and is hungry for more minutes, where Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden represent this new generation, there's been a quiet conversation building in the dressing room. Not said out loud, but felt everywhere. The past versus the present, legacy versus hunger. Ancelotti's appointment itself was a compromise. Thomas Tuchel brought him in to add steel and tactical precision, but also to inject some of that no-nonsense feedback that Tuchel knew this squad needed. The FA wanted someone who understood winning at the highest level. Nobody expected that first real moment of that steel would be aimed at the captain. And there's a detail almost nobody noticed yet. Multiple sources suggest that some of the younger players in that room didn't react with shock. They reacted with something closer to recognition. Like they'd been thinking it, and now someone had finally said it out loud. On one side, you have Ancelotti's inner circle within the coaching staff. They believe Kane's drop-off is real and visible. They argue that one missed sitter in a World Cup isn't the problem. It's that this is becoming a pattern. They're saying privately that someone like Ivan Toney, hungry and sharp, or Ollie Watkins, who's in the form of his life, might offer something fresher. This isn't personal to them. It's ruthless clarity. It's what winning demands. On the other side, you have Kane's longest allies, players who've shared the dressing room with him for a decade. Declan Rice, John Stones, Jordan Pickford. These are men who know exactly what Kane has given to England. They see Ancelotti's comment as disrespectful. They see it as a power play, a way to establish dominance over the captain. They're saying that one poor match, one miss, doesn't erase 79 goals or a decade of leadership. And in the middle of all this, Jude Bellingham is silent. Not defending Kane, not condemning him. Just watching. Just weighing. The reactions have already started fracturing the room. Teammates who've played alongside Kane for years have made their feelings known quietly to close friends. They think this crossed a line. Other players, younger ones, are more measured. Some even think Ancelotti might be right. The FA is alarmed. Days before a critical group stage match, the last thing they need is a captain in a crisis of confidence. Thomas Tuchel has already fielded calls asking what his position is. Social media is already dividing. Older supporters are rallying around Kane's legacy, saying that one coach's frustration doesn't erase everything he's done. Younger voices are online arguing that Ancelotti is speaking a truth England's been afraid to say. That form matters more than history now. The press hasn't fully broken this story yet, but it's only a matter of time. When it does, it'll dominate every back-page headline for days. Now hold on, because this is where it all falls apart for Thomas Tuchel. He's caught between two impossible decisions, and the clock is ticking. England's next match is scheduled in just 72 hours. If Tuchel drops Kane, he's sending a seismic signal that captaincy no longer offers protection, that Ancelotti's judgment overrides everything, and that form is now the only currency that matters. That could break something in the squad's belief. But if he keeps Kane in the lineup and Kane underperforms again, the narrative spirals into Ancelotti was right all along, and the fracture deepens. If he publicly defends Kane, he looks weak and like he can't accept hard truths. If he stays silent, he appears to side with Ancelotti, and Kane knows it. The weight of what's happened here is enormous. This is the moment where England's World Cup either fractures or rallies. This is the point of no return. And look, this is far from over. This is the information going around so far. Over the next few hours, new details should drip out, and they could completely change how this story unfolds. Some sources are hinting that an audio recording or message from that training session might exist on a coach's tablet, and at least one journalist is chasing it hard. Over to you. Is Ancelotti's bluntness the tough love England desperately needs to win? Or has he just fractured the one thing that holds a tournament squad together? Unshakable belief in the captain. Write it down below. And if you don't want to find out about the next bombshell after everyone else, subscribe and turn on notifications now. Because when this fully blows up, you'll want to be the first to know, not the last. There's one more piece to this that changes everything. According to sources close to the FA, officials were already aware of the tension brewing between Kane and Ancelotti before the Ghana match even kicked off. But nobody expected it to explode like this, on camera, in front of the entire backroom team. What makes this even more serious is that Ancelotti didn't apologize afterward. He didn't walk it back. He didn't pull Kane aside privately and smooth things over. According to players present, he moved on to the next clip like nothing had happened. That silence from him was almost louder than the original comment. Here's where it gets darker. Declan Rice, who's been Kane's midfield anchor for years, reportedly left the training ground early that day. John Stones, the captain's closest ally in defense, was visibly upset during the session. Even Jude Bellingham, who you'd expect to stay neutral as the younger generation's representative, exchanged looks with Marcus Rashford that suggested something fundamental had shifted. The dressing room didn't just fracture, it polarized instantly. By that evening, the story had already leaked to two major outlets. Not the full details yet, but enough. By the next morning, it was everywhere behind the scenes. Thomas Tuchel was in crisis management mode, fielding calls from the FA, from Kane's representatives, from senior players demanding clarity. Tuchel's position is now completely exposed. He has to make a call that will either destroy his credibility with Ancelotti or destroy his relationship with Kane and the players who fought alongside him for years. There is no middle ground here. And that's the thing nobody's talking about yet. Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins are watching this unfold, and both of them know their moment might be coming. Toney has been waiting for his chance. Watkins just had the best season of his career. If Kane gets dropped, if Tuchel decides to go with someone fresher, someone hungrier, someone without the baggage of a decade of expectations, then one of these two strikers becomes the face of England's new era. That's not a small detail. That's someone's World Cup dream suddenly becoming real. The FA has gone silent publicly, but according to what's being said behind the scenes, they're terrified. This is a World Cup where every match matters. This is a tournament where England cannot afford internal chaos. And yet, here they are, 72 hours after the opening match, with their captain's confidence shattered and their dressing room divided between generations, between loyalty and pragmatism, between legacy and hunger. What's happening now is that Kane himself is in a position he's never been in before. He's a player who's defined himself by consistency, by showing up, by being the reliable heartbeat of England. But for the first time, that's not enough. One poor performance, and suddenly his place isn't guaranteed. That's the real shock here. Not the comment itself, but what it signals. That nobody is untouchable anymore. That reputation is fragile. That at a World Cup, you're only as good as your last match. The clock is ticking toward that next fixture. England faces a crucial group stage opponent in 72 hours. Tuchel has to decide if Kane plays, if he's benched, if Watkins gets the nod. Whatever he chooses, it sends a message that will echo through the entire tournament. If Kane plays and struggles, the narrative becomes unstoppable. Ancelotti was right. If Kane gets dropped, the message is clear. We're moving on from the old guard. If Tuchel defends him and benches Ancelotti instead, he signals that captaincy still means something. But he also risks losing the steel he brought in Ancelotti to provide. This is the moment where England's World Cup campaign either recovers or spirals. This is the fracture that could either heal or split wide open. Nobody knows yet which way it goes.